On social media, TV3 Ghana, the hashtag is TV3Newday. We're also live on DSTV channel 279 and streaming live on Facebook at TV3 Ghana. Yesterday, the president gave his State of the Nation address for this year. Came, at a delayed time, but regardless, it still happened. And yesterday, he touched on quite a number of things. Let's just take a look at exactly what he said, some of the major highlights of the State of the Nation address yesterday. And when we get back, I'll introduce you to my guests.
Never mind the number of times the State of the Nation address was postponed. At least we have had some indication from the majority that it was the legislature that did not have the time, if you like, for want of a better expression, to accommodate the president. Fast forward, the president has appeared before members of parliament today, and he has been speaking, addressing the whole nation on what is the true state of the nation. The president made some very honest admissions.
It is an ambitious project which must and will be done, and which will create some 33,900 jobs for construction workers, and on completion, some 34,300 jobs for health workers. We have every intention of seeing this project through to its successful end.
The economy may be in distress, but the president has also admitted on what the expectations of Ghanaians have been for his administration.
When some amongst us are raising questions about the certainties on which we are building the state, it is not surprising that worries about the stability of the government would become cause for heightened tension in the nation.
Whilst many have blamed the economic woes of the country on the COVID-19 pandemic and also the recent disturbances between Russia and Ukraine, the president has been reassuring the economy will boost back.
Data from the Ministry of Finance tells us that an amount of 17.7 billion cedis, 4.6% of GDP, has been spent in containing the pandemic since 2020.
But just as the e-levy has been passed by the House and expected to take effect somewhere in May, as set by the Minister of Finance, the President has assured of a proper use of the state resources, inclusive of the taxes that are collected from the people of Ghana.
The road to recovery will be long and hard, but we have started on a good footing by accepting that we are in a difficult place and are taking the difficult decisions that will get us out. If anyone had ever had any doubts about the need for self-reliance, the point has now been forcibly drilled home to us.
Komla Kluche, TV3 News, Parliament House, Accra.
Or a site for the change. Yes, the done this, that. So the people wants to see, in addition to what he has done for the region, something monumental. Wankra sword was cut on the 5th of November 2020. We are in 2022. I don't know where I have not visited there in recent times, but I don't think much has been done on the Wankra site.
So I will admit that not much has been done as a stronghold of the party, but I think something is being done. When you take the Ghana, the Kumasi International Airport, I think work is on progress and they've done a very, very good job. With the Wankra Inland Port, as a business, I'm so much concerned about it because of the fact that we have to clear our goods from Tema and Takoradi, transport them here to Kumasi, particularly at this time of the year when the oil prices is hitting us and increasing the prices of transportation in this country. I'm very much particular. But I'm so much concerned about the railway system than the building the Wankra port.
The president did talk about the e-levy being passed as a good sign of Parliament allowing it to be passed. So we want to see results with what the E-levy is going to do for us. If they are saying that they're going to earmark it towards road construction, we want to see more roads being built in our major cities. So I think the issues he talked about, the last one was with the hospitals that are being constructed. He said he's going to make sure that all those hospitals will be constructed before he leaves office in 2025. We just hope that all these things would be done so that we can have better lives in the midst of the pandemic and the midst of difficult times.
I was not expecting anything new, and we've been disappointed for so many states of the nation. So this one, like, there's nothing new that will come up of it. So I didn't waste my time to look at it. Even though the COVID measures have been lifted, yes, we knew that it would come out, and it would have been done a long time ago.
I'm so much disappointed because I would say that right now the government is just doing trial and error. There's nothing new that he can do. But they failed the entire city. I won't blame whether the NDC or MPP. In fact, the entire government has failed the Ghanaians. They failed us. Because currently I don't know any new thing that they want to bring on board. Because this E-levy thing, we are not quite unsure that they'll use as a collateral.
Opinions of people and what they thought about the State of the Nation address. At least some Ghanaians have said that even though this was supposed to address the real state of the nation, apart from this paragraph where the president said, and I quote, "From my vantage point as president of the republic, from the focus point as head of government, from the enviable position of a husband, a father and a grandfather, I know there's a general sense of anxiety in our nation at the moment. The Ghanaian people are anxious about the economy, the cost of living, income levels, jobs for young people, and even about issues on which we all thought we had achieved a national consensus," unquote. Apart from this paragraph, people were saying that, well, the president barely touched on the real situation on the ground with regards to transport fares, fuel price hikes, and all the other issues that people are facing. So for them, this was not a proper State of the Nation address. What do you make of it as well? You can share your thoughts with us. But joining us in the studio this morning is a rep from the NPP communications team, Larato Musa Saka. Good morning. Good morning. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you very much. Long week?
The week is it's just midweek.
It's just mid. Oh, we're almost at the end. Today is Thursday.
Oh, today's Thursday.
Yeah. Oh, you thought today was Wednesday? You're not in a hurry.
Well, where am I in a hurry to?
Well, a lot has happened. I mean, from the passage of the E-levy bill now to the State of the Nation address, and we're expecting a rep from the NDC to join us. So if you're watching, please just let them know that their rep is not here. But earlier, like I said, if you listen to some Ghanaians, they're saying that even though the president did touch on it briefly, it wasn't really an address of the State of the Nation. The pockets of people are still crying, and we didn't hear the president touch on all those things. What do you say?
Good morning, Bella. Good morning to our viewers. And it's been like a very interesting week from E-levy being passed and Black Stars qualifying to Carter, something that most of us thought was far-fetched. But I mean, let me add my voice to congratulating them for doing a great job. And we hope that they maintain that composure, maintain that zeal and hunger for success and make a mark in. I mean, it's a relatively young team, and if at this relatively young age, the average age of these new players, they are just hungry for success, I believe that if they continue like that with the supervision and support and the guidance of the technical team led by the coach, I think we can make a difference and get back to what Ghana football was as we knew it before. But let's go to what the president, State of the Nation address. I'll appreciate it if you can read the paragraph you read out before we started.
Okay.
If you can do me a favor.
So
and read it out
again, this is what he said, and I quote, "From my vantage point as president of the republic, from the focus points as head of government, from the enviable position of a husband, a father, and a grandfather, I know that there's a general sense of anxiety in our nation at the moment. The Ghanaian people are anxious about the economy, the cost of living, income levels, jobs for young people, and even about issues on which we all thought we had achieved a national consensus, unquote.
Exactly. So how else were we expecting the president to put it? Were we expecting, look, we all live in this country. I live here. At the beginning of the year, as an individual, the car that I use, I needed less than 300 cedis to buy fuel to fill a tank. Now, I need between 400 and 500 cedis as an individual. It's not, the hardship we are going through is not individualistic. The hardship that we are going through is not targeted at just a few. And for the president to state that where he sits as a president, where he sits as a father, as a husband, as a grandfather, he understands the anxiety that citizens are going through. I don't think he could have put it better than that. But we're expecting him to also come and start rehashing the problems when where he sits, what we expect him to do is to lessen it for us. But we're expecting him to come and now start reiterating the problems rather than what is being done to lessen the hardship. We are all in difficult times, definitely. I mean, nobody saw some of these things coming. Nobody saw fuel prices going shoot up more than 50 to 57% within a space of what, 3 months? It's something that nobody saw COVID coming. There are a lot of things that have happened. It's a different case where when His Excellency the President took over, things were as they were when he took over. Then it's like there's no light at the tunnel. This is a man who took an economy that was growing at a rate of 3.5 and grew it up to an average of 7%. From 3.4, grew it up, got us out of IMF. This is a man who came and took bold policy decisions. I sit here, I come from a very deprived region. I come from one of the poorest, if not the poorest region in this country, which is Savannah. Right. What led to some of these things? What led to the neglect of my region? It was because of the sheer size of the region, then northern region. This is a man who came and made a promise that I'm going to divide these regions into manageable sizes so we can see development. He did. We got an additional 6, at least from where I sit. When there's a budget being given to regions, Savannah region gets its quota.
But Northern region was getting its quota
Northern
anyway.
region was getting it for a land, a space that was more than half the size of Ghana. Today, we have Northeast, we have Savannah. Where I sit, I came from Savannah. I was in Savannah over the weekend. At least, if for nothing at all, I've seen the road that connects the eastern corridor to the west, where our regional capital is being done. That's from Bunjai to Fufosu Junction. At least, if for nothing at all, I've seen that road. That road cuts travel time from Salaga, which is the capital of the East Gonja district, to the regional capital, which is Damango.
I like that you've brought the issue of roads. I just want us to play a short video. I'll let you land. Don't worry. Just give me.
So you can play your video.
Okay.
Right. So this is a man who, when he says something, I believe follows up to do it. Free SHS.
And I didn't want you to move to another topic. That's why, because you mentioned roads. Let's just talk about that briefly. And yesterday, the president did say that some 10,885 kilometers of roads had been constructed and completed. And he said this was the best in the history of Ghana. Now, yesterday, the ranking member on the Roads Committee in Parliament, Honorable Kwame Agboja, raised some objections to that and said that, well, if you look at the roads minister's presentation in Parliament. In fact, that happened in February 2022. He had just said that about 4,263 kilometers of roads had been completed between 2017 and 2021. And so how is the president now saying that we have completed some 10,885 kilometers of roads? Let's take a look at that video. I'll also introduce my second guest to you before we continue the conversation.
Some 10,885 kilometers of new roads have been constructed.
I hold here in my hands a document produced by the president himself through his road and highways minister. List of completed road projects May 2017 and May last year. Asphaltic overlay 1,400. I admit that since May last year to today, they might have laid more asphaltic overlay, because in any case we approved the agreements in this house, so they should be doing more. And if you see construction, in other words, the only thing they did that is from scratch is how much? 68 kilometers. And you talk about graveling and re-graveling. They are some kind of road, but I don't know anybody who wishes that is what the president will be talking about. And guess what? Pothole patchings are part of the president the data. The total of that is what? Even 4,200 kilometers. And I'm saying that from May last year to now, they couldn't have constructed 6,000 new kilometers of road. But we know that even the 4,000 he's talking about are even resealing, re-graveling, and another thing.
And that is Gavin Kwame Agboja. He is the ranking member of the Road Committee in Parliament. Joining us this morning, by the way, is Lawyer Joyce Ba Mukhtari. She is a special aide to former President John Dramani Mahama, also a former Deputy Minister of Transport. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good to see you in the studios. How are you doing?
Very well, thank you.
Okay. Good to see you too. Let me just let Leratu land on this point, of course, with regards to roads, and then we'll get Lawyer Joyce Ba Mukhtari to also respond to this. So you're talking about the president, of course, and the Akufo-Addo government constructing roads. At least in your region, you've seen that. Now, yesterday, he mentioned 10,885 kilometers of road. Earlier, we had heard from the roads minister who went to Parliament to respond to the first deputy speaker's claim or request for him to come and account and give details of that 4,000 and over kilometers that he said were constructed. Yes. So how did we move from 4,000 and over kilometers to 10,000 kilometers in such a short period?
To go by your own statement earlier on.
But that was February?
Yes.
Okay.
We're in March. Right. We're in March. And the data that was given to cover a certain period. Yesterday, the president mentioned a little over 10,800 kilometers of road. The document that the ranking member was referring to was an earlier document. I know for a fact that the figure that His Excellency the President put out is right.
Okay.
And they are going to debate the budget starting today. Fortunately, the roads minister is a member of Parliament. There's a committee on roads. I also know for a fact that those figures that the figure that the president put out, the breakdown will be given later today by the roads ministry. And I think we should wait and listen to the breakdown and not run and try to run all the things that the president said.
We should wait.
No, I'm not saying all the things that the president said, the acknowledgement of how ambitious for a man at that level. He admitted that Agenda 111, the way it was thought through, was ambitious, but it's still achievable. If he's put out that figure, I think I know for a fact that the roads ministry will come out with the fine details to confirm the number that the president has put out there.
But he had the chance in February, and this is just about a month ago, Leratu. Let me just read what the minister said. Don't also forget,
Bella.
Let me just read what the minister said. Apart from the
roads ministry, Cocoa Board also does some roads.
Yeah, but then all those details come to the roads ministry, no?
Let's wait for the roads ministry to come out with the right figures. Then we can have a proper discussion.
The minister already came out with details in Parliament.
The minister came out with details
and this was on February 18th.
Yes, and yesterday was what? 30th March.
So within a month, all of a sudden, we know that some 6,000 extra kilometers of roads.
Preparing to go and answer questions. You go answer whilst you're dealing with data from other places. Data comes from all over. Roads are just not in Accra. Roads are across 16 regions.
But he gave details of that.
200 plus MMDAs. Data comes in gradually. We've had conversations on people not submitting data early. But once you've been asked, Parliament has called you. The house that brings together all the representatives of citizens across the nation calls you to come and answer question. At least at that time, the figures that you have, you go and check it out. That, you said what, 18 February. Yesterday was 30th March. Today is 31st. The Roads Ministry is going to come out with the details. Let's have a proper conversation with the people, with the data that the people who have, based on what they gave the president to put out. So we can have a more focused discussion. I don't want us to start shouting about what a ranking member is referring to a document.
Let me read something that the minister himself said, Lerato. So this was in Parliament, and he says, the Speaker mandated me to bring proof of what I was talking about. I had no choice than to comply. So, Mr. Speaker, I have compiled all the roads interventions between 2017 and 2021, and it totals 4,263.37 kilometers. And Mr. Speaker, my ministry, because they want to offer prima facie evidence of what we have done, we've broken the roads intervention into regions, and it covers all the 16 regions of our country. We've also gone further to itemize all the road activities that constitutes that total number. This is the minister speaking on 18th February, and you're saying that at that time he may not have had access to all the documents. He came out to respond.
This is the minister speaking. This is the minister speaking on 18th February. President spoke on 30th March. That's more than a month. I'm telling you here now that the same ministry will come out with the fine details this morning. Why are we in a hurry?
Is it about being in a hurry? The president has been called a liar.
Unfortunately, that will be proven this morning. I don't want to sit down here. Let's hear it from the custodians of these figures. Let us listen to them. They'll come. The budget will be debated. The State of the Nation address that the president put out will be debated. Yesterday after, it was adjourned for debate to start today. All those fine details will come. Obviously, the minority will not say, once they've started talking about it, they are going to raise it. The ministry, like I said, is going to come out with the details to confirm the figure that the president put there. Let's listen to them.
We should listen.
Yes, please.
Well, okay. So May 24th as well. And around that time, we had been told that some 4,000 and over kilometers of roads had been completed as well, which is why the minister was asked to come into Parliament to give details of that. The minister himself also said that we'll complete some 6,000 kilometers of roads, that is 20 interchanges, by the end of Akufo-Addo's term. So now the question that we're asking as well is that, could this be the same 6,000 that may have been added to the 4,000 kilometers of road that the president mentioned yesterday? And between May 2021 and March 2022, are we saying that we were able to complete some 6,000 kilometers of roads as against 5 years of completing 4,000? Is that possible?
The president mentioned the figure. Right. I've told you that the details of those figures will be put out this morning.
You don't have the details?
I don't have the details yet.
Okay.
Because I don't want to. The Roads Ministry has to come out with the figures.
But you're coming here this morning to respond to some concerns that Ghanaians had raised. Yes. I would have thought that you'd have been your communicator for government.
Let the people that we've all, through the president, mandated to do this work, come out to the real figures.
All right. Let me bring lawyer in to respond to this. And first of all, your general overview of the State of the Nation address, and then we'll zero in into the issue of roads and the number of kilometers that the president had said had been constructed.
Well, Bella, thank you very much. A very good morning to you. And you do know that I have a son who is actually taking his IGs this year. So he has mock exams. So instead of coming here first, we had to agree on who should be dropped first. So I had to drop him off from school and then to come in here. So that took me like a few minutes away from the usual arrival time.
That's fine.
So very good morning to you and good morning to you, Laura.
Well, I think there's a problem with your sound. We're going to have to just check that. It's a technical problem. So let's just take a quick break, short one. Please do not leave us. We'll be back so we can hear what lawyer also has to say.
So that mom can be able to open the door.
This is it. Here's my little brother doing something special. He's setting the camera up with another bright idea. Let's just open the door. Yay! Mom, I got it.
Now you can be part of the extraordinary world of endless possibilities on Vodafone. With the best value and amazing data offers and services available in Ghana, your dreams are achievable. Get more for less with Vodafone data. Vodafone, further together.
For generations, Ghanaians have had one thing in common, and that's the way we start our day. Wherever your day will take you, start with the energy from Cadbury Rich Cocoa, made from the finest Ghanaian cocoa.
This advert is FDA approved.
A serene environment, state-of-the-art teaching and learning materials, dedicated teachers, small class sizes, and world-class facilities define the excellence at Startright Montessori and Christian College.
It's a very nice school and I really love it.
The Montessori Primary, Junior High School, and Senior High School levels offers a world-class educational experience.
Looking to choose a school for your ward? Choose right. Choose soft skills. Choose Startright.
We also run international programs such as the Cambridge O and A levels. We have boarding facilities as well with spacious dormitories. Locate Startright Montessori and Christian College on the Startright Lane off Finey Road, New Botiano. Call us on 0244 098881 or 0244 522 350 or visit our website at www.scc.edu.gh.
I invite you to bring your ward to Startright Montessori School and Startright Christian College.
Startright Montessori and Christian College, the best world-class education experience in Ghana.
If I feel that something can get my child sick, I deal with it protectively. I deal with it thoroughly. Then I finish it nutritionally because the Nido they love also contains iron, vitamin A and C to help strengthen their immunity as they learn and play. Nido feeds your child with essential nutrients to strengthen their immunity. From Nestle, this advert is FDA approved.
So you had to fly them here?
No. We took them apart in Accra. We put them on trucks and then we drove them on road with police escorts all the way and reassembled them.
With
here.
Police escorts?
Yes,
Why?
Exactly. Yeah, because we were transporting airplanes. And the people who owned these things, they wouldn't just give it to you. Some of them, they would have to pee on it or smear shit or something on
Why
it.
would they do that?
Because they say that if they give it to you like that, you could use it for juju or something like that. So the only way to disconnect the body from the clothes, because they've inherited it from one generation to the other,
is to poop on it?
To poop on it, and once they do that, it somehow desacralizes the thing, so it detaches the body from it.
Oh, mother, ask you to I will obey mother too. I will love mother too.
Woo! Well, it wasn't an answer. She was saying a poem about her mother and how her mother has taken care of her. Said she will love mother.
The Day Show with Bella Mundi shows on Thursdays at 9 p.m. and repeats on Saturdays at 3 p.m. on TV3.
Brought to you by Mixi Choco Chane Hot.
The 2022 edition of 3FM's Tour de Ghana is here. This will be another assembly of great cyclists in and around Ghana. We'll bring you a double dose. 2 days of unstoppable cycling will begin on Saturday, April 30th from Central University through Adan, Sogakope, Adidome before a temporary stop in Ho. That is a staggering 155 kilometers. On Sunday, May 1st, the race resumes from Ho through Atimpoku, Somenya, Dodoa, Oyibi, and then to Valley View University. That adds another 134 kilometers, totaling 289 kilometers. Registration has begun and ends on April 27th. Remember, there will be no registration on the day of event, and cycling teams must register together. Registration fee is 150 Ghana cedis only. To register, call 055 00 52 927. 3FM Tour to Ghana. Let's find Ghana's fastest cyclist.
Fufu Akuma FM Fufu Party Masa Enyasam Kitwakra Yebe Chokontomwa Anum Kwine Nia Jenam Hey Akuma FM Fufu Party the biggest Fufu Party in Osakrom Bosso Jwada 2nd of May 2022 Nakaise free Santiani Biam Messi free Wuntiachi Die we here ni wayua Branabedidi free Sawate Die we here ni wayua Fabra nebedidi free Akuma FM Fufu Party Bosso ewa Akuma FM ye nimu haya Kumasi City Mall Main gate renchwa nimu haya Enunchi obia medidi Kayo Saudi wayua eba Akuma FM Fufu Party 2nd May 2022 Petiti free ha 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 Fufu Akuma FM Fufu Party Masa Enyasam Kitwakra Achadie bia opesa de boa Akuma Fufu Party Saye nantwe aponche banche bodie anasempo atosodie freyen 0548 390 970 0548 390 970 Sesia
Media partners here, TV3, Onye TV, and at 3news.com.
Akuma FM 87.9 Kumasi.
Back to TV3 New Day. The conversation continues, and earlier I was speaking to Leratu Musasaka. She is a member of the communications team for the NPP, and lawyer Joyce Ba Muktari is a special aide to former President John Dramani Mahama and also a former deputy transport minister, and we're just asking about the concerns regarding that 10,885 kilometers of road that the president had mentioned had been completed as at yesterday during the State of the Nation address. Governor Kwame Agboja, who is a ranking member for the Roads Committee, disputed that and said, well, the Roads Minister himself had indicated that some 4,263 kilometers of roads had been constructed and completed between 2017 and May 2021. So he called the president a liar. Why so? Lawyer Joyce Ba Muktari will speak to it.
Well, Bella, thank you very much. And I believe that immediately after the presentation of the State of the Nation address yesterday, after rather, unusual extension of time, eventually the day arrived. And let's first of all say congratulations to the Black Stars. They actually made us all happy, actually helped us to forget some of the hardships that we are currently going through. I also believe strongly that there must have been a certain intentional attempt to literally draw attention away from the rather hollow presentation by His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. And I believe that viewing very casually the 20-page State of the Nation address, I found it rather very, very interesting that for the very first time, there's actually been no mention on corruption, no mention on exactly what government is doing about the perception on corruption index. There was really no mention about the challenges to do with the lack of accountability regarding the expenditure on COVID and all the other matters. The issue to do with the frontiers and the amounts of monies they have since received from the good people of Ghana. I personally believe that that little controversy about the length of roads was literally thrown in as a public relations gimmick. It was definitely bound to generate furore, generate this debate as we are currently seeing, and of course, divert attention from the rather empty, highfalutin speech that His Excellency the President delivered. I have no doubt in my mind that all of us as Ghanaians, as citizens, know that there are clearly challenges. I believe that the President himself alluded to those challenges. What he didn't want to do was to dwell on them, because if you have a sore and you're not too sure whether or not the sore has actually healed, you will deliberately not scratch it, because once you touch the surface, you know that chances are you might get infected, you will expose the sore, and you don't want people even to see that you have this infection that you are carrying around with you.
Lerato had just said that there was no point in belaboring that point if he had mentioned it.
We live in Ghana, and I would like you to go back and cross-check. If we're talking about belaboring points, we're talking about whether or not we eat roads, we're talking about whether or not roads to put money in the pockets of the people, I think that then we wouldn't even be having this conversation. We should probably not be analyzing that State of the Nation address. I think that has also become characteristic of all of us to analyze, to interrogate, to vet what our leaders say at any given time. I believe that the controversy regarding the length of roads notwithstanding, the State of the Nation itself admitted to a lot of other things that all of us have been conscious of for quite some time. What it failed to do was to address them with a certain candor, with a certain sincerity. But I believe that everything was actually a public relations sort of strategy point, how to ensure that, you know, you would get away with as little criticism as possible, create a certain environment where a very football-loving nation has just come out of Nigeria with a draw and a team that is going to the World Cup. All these things create a certain ambience and aura in the system. If you take a very close look, even a cursory look, at this road infrastructure that His Excellency the President spoke about, and I am genuinely not an expert when it comes to roads and construction of same and cost, etc. Take, for example, the Shino Hydro agreement. The loan was supposed to bring in about $630 million US. We are told that there were supposed to be 10 phases of that project. And in the 10, only one, which is the Tamale interchange, has actually been completed. In any case, we were supposed to pay for this loan through the bauxite and mining of same. But you and I both know that we are currently not mining bauxite. I believe that His Excellency the President also mentioned that we're actually working on the railway to lead up to the bauxite so that at least we can start the mining process. So certainly the Shino Hydro agreement is in limbo, because in terms of how we're going to actually facilitate the repayments of the loan, nobody has told us. Take, for example, the next thing which we want to talk about. It is the overlays and the resurfacing of urban roads mostly. Have you taken a close look? Take, for example, even the Mahama Gifford Road. Go to the back of that part of it into the areas such as Chado, leading up to the EPP University and that part of town, which will take you almost to the trade fair. This is urban Ghana. There is nothing on there that has been done. And it has been like that ever since this government assumed office. If you take our rural communities, ask yourself, when you go into the Tamale metropolis itself, it is a fantastic thing that finally the interchange has been completed. But go and find out all the other roads that feed into the interchange, whether anything has been done about them. And if you remember, the only reason why conversations about these roads have become topical is because we were promised what? A year of roads. I realize that the State of the Nation address also failed even to address that topic from the perspective of the roads. Moving away even from the controversy about the roads, His Excellency the President admits also that that whole Agenda 111 was overly ambitious. And that as he was even speaking to us yesterday, there had been nothing done in terms of even securing the land. But we know that a hospital
he did say, however, that there were some 88 or so,
that is yet to be vetted. But you all remember that there was a hospital in and around Lekma that was actually pulled down. You understand? Until date, nothing has been done. Why did we not leave that edifice to ensure that we continue to use it even as it was until such time that we're certain that we're actually going to prosecute this agenda?
To be fair, by the way, he did say that work has started at 87 of the 111 sites, and that's because the preparatory work had been completed. And so they are working on the preliminary work on the remaining 24 sites that's ongoing. So 87 of them have started. If you want to
replay the conversation around the time when that promise was made, as against the conversation since then, you will tell that there's also enormous inconsistency about how that fact has been communicated. Let's just admit that that project or the promise has run into problems, and that every effort is being done to see it take off, and of course to hope that in the next 2 years, its completion will also come to pass. Maybe some of them will be completed, maybe others will not. You see, the reason why we are actually majoring on minors in these conversations is because of the extent of the bragging rights, the extent of the falsehoods, the extent of the lies that have been told over the period about the status of projects, about the level of completion, about the urgency that was attached to all of these projects. But we also know that the Agenda 111 was actually supposed to feed into the challenges to do with the pandemic as we had experienced.
Yeah.
If you recall, there was going to be one immediately constructed even to serve what? The northern zone. All of those projects are yet to come on stream. I think that, you see, the president has also belabored the subject of the pandemic and of COVID. Bella, God has been so kind to the good people of Ghana. If you take this State of the Nation address to tell us that nearly 18 billion was expended in the course of the pandemic, that amount of money has so far not been accounted for, that we have heard about the quantums. 430 million came from the World Bank alone. 1 billion came from the IMF alone. An amount came from the Bank of Ghana. Almost 10 million Ghana cedis.
Yes.
Another amount of 1 billion came from the special drawing rights that we have. Add that to the over 130 million that was raised by Frontiers in the course of the pandemic.
But Frontiers is separate because all that money did not come to us, by the way.
But how much of it came to us and how much of it went to other people? That was a private initiative, remember? Secondly, it was the good people of Ghana who were paying for these tests. Remember that there were protests even about the cost of those tests. And all of these conversations fell on dead ears. Even in the attempt to revisit the subject and to actually take off the tests and all of those PCRs and arrival tests and all of that, look at how the communication has come. It is almost as if it's a very light matter. It is not a very serious issue. It's not a matter that challenges anybody, and it's a very normal event. At a time when most of our neighbors were charging less than $50, where even citizens were paying a certain amount as against foreign persons, even at a time when the tests were stopped on arrival in many other airports, we were still charging for the service. And in the course of that period, the Ghana Airport Company, that serves as a host even to Frontiers, literally doesn't know anything about that agreement, about the procurement of the services. And right now we are asking, how have those monies been received? How were they arrived at? Who got what? Where is what going to? You know, I think that a lot of questions have been raised.
Were you expecting the president to give that account? I mean, that is the job of the health minister.
I disagree
with
you.
Not?
The president went as far as trying to corroborate, even add on to what the roads minister had said before Parliament. I believe it is his duty as part of the State of the Nation address to tell us the real State of the Nation address. I believe that this was actually a statement that did not actually fulfill any conditions in terms of the reality. It tried to gloss over a lot of things. And look, even on the roads, His Excellency failed to mention specific roads, because immediately then we would have gone to vet those roads. We would immediately probably be able to cast our eyes around. We would speak to maybe journalists who are stationed in most of these areas where he actually spoke about. And remember, there was even a controversy about the interchange and the nature of the pictures that were released even prior to it being open for use. So, you know, there's been this extreme public relations strategy to try and deceive, to try and take away from what the realities of the situations are.
But that would mean the president going into details, and these details
the president
are supposed to be given by the sector ministers.
He gave us details.
The road minister had already gone into Parliament to break it down for the 16
regions. The president spoke about Ukraine. He spoke about the 60% fertilizer that comes from Ukraine. The president spoke about Russia, the 30% that comes from the wheat.
Yeah.
He spoke about the iron rods that are actually being imported from Ukraine. He gave us some details. So where it suited his purposes, because he knows that fuel prices are biting. So certainly he saw the need to give us those details. If his focus was to give us details about the fact that he had indeed constructed or added on way over 6,000 kilometers of road, I'm sure the president could have selected, like other leaders have done, or as he has done in the past, pick out certain specific key roads and then tell us where this road was and where we are today. So Bella, I believe that Ghanaians know. They know what President Akufo-Addo sounded like when he was in opposition. They know what he sounded like when he first came to power. They know what the State of the Nation addresses actually epitomized and what they contained. They also know when the president has tried very hard to gloss over even topical things before the very representatives of the House, and to agree that there are indeed deep cracks within the system. I have no doubt in my mind that what I expected to see was the president reiterate his call about his fight against corruption.
Okay, and that
about how he was dealing with this canker that has reduced us to the beggars that we are today. That we have toiled, we have bossed, that are failing even to process our oil, and that we are even currently wasting some of the gas. It's called fracking, because we do not know how to conserve or how to preserve them.
Okay.
There are a lot of things that I believe that His Excellency could have highlighted. For example, if you speak to the issue about hospitals and the fact that you have not been able to start because of A, B, or C.
And I was coming to that. Should we not applaud him for at least even coming out to say that that was an overly ambitious, agenda? And so, I mean, if you said in 3 months, give me some more time. I hope that by the end of my tenure, I will complete it. It's not a president who probably has agreed that maybe I faltered in the information that I put out, and so I'm boldly coming out to say it was wrong. Give me time to complete it.
But Bella, I'm sure we also know this is the same president who, even at the peak of his presidency, totally disagreed with every evidence of whatever his predecessor had actually left behind. I'm sure you remember the conversations around the 200 E-blocks, that even as we had left almost half of them, some complete, some in different positions, that even President Mahama had had occasion to admit why some of the challenges had actually been the reasons why we were unable even to complete all the 200, and that he had even hoped that in his second term, if Ghanaians were so minded, he would have taken that exercise and completed it. Who gave us a dog's chance? I think that sometimes let's hold leaders accountable too. It is not enough to say that the leader admits that he made an overly ambitious arrangement, because in the same breath, he spoke about 106 factories. He even spoke about 33,600 jobs being created. This is a futuristic outlook.
Is it?
Yes.
Maybe Lerato will speak to that.
Because he also knows that that project, ambitious as he sounded, that the fact that those jobs would happen is also still a future promise.
Okay.
And I believe that when the president spoke, he spoke to many other issues that sounded more like promises, like a manifesto that had been amended and was being reiterated. He spoke about water, for example.
That's what it sounded like?
Yes, absolutely.
A manifesto that had been amended?
Absolutely.
Okay, please land on this for me.
Have you gone outside to find out how many people are going around looking for water? Lerato spoke at length about the Savannah region, specifically the northern region, the challenges to do with clean water, the infections, the diseases that people are getting because of lack of access to water. Look, I live around Achimota, and I remember that Adenta in Achimota started to receive what? Water through our taps at least 5 years ago. I also know that in the course of COVID, that is when the taps stopped running. And as we speak today, the taps are still not running. So if we extended free water to households, how many households receive the water in reality beyond the promise? If we extended electricity to households, how many received it in reality? In any case, immediately after, electricity prices we know went up. And yet nobody spoke to them. You know, I think that we have a whole gamut of inconsistencies from the president, from his ministers, from his spokespersons. That's all we hear. I think that begging for sympathy now is a little bit too late. And I'm sure that as the same stick, I don't know how they say it, someone gave me a proverb yesterday that you used to beat a predecessor. And you see, look at the conciliatory tone even for the very first time in the life of President Akufo-Addo yesterday. That should tell you that this is a man who knows that every attempt he made to deride and chide those who had been there before him had actually fallen flat. And I have this debate with Lerato all the time. When suddenly they try very hard to make amends, to create certain impressions, trying to meet everybody in the middle,
Since when have we tried to cooperate with one another
Let her respond to this, and especially Agenda 111, because the first time the president announced it, it was 88,
go back to the announcement.
88 district hospitals. Okay, we were told that within a year we would be able to complete these hospitals. Then later he comes back and tells us that, well, in fact, it's now Agenda 111. Give us some, 12 to 18 months and we'll be able to complete it. Now he's back and he says that that was overly ambitious. Did he not know that from the beginning before actually stating and telling the nation that we're going to finish it within 12 to 18 months?
Bella, I thought my big sister here was going to commend the president for the manner in which his State of the Nation's address sought to bring all of us together. We can decide to go into the past and recount a lot of things. But at the point in time that we are now, if a president comes, I don't think where he sits, he should come and be lamenting like we are all lamenting. Because he's the one who is supposed to take us out of all the hardships that we are going through now. So if he also comes and he's lamenting, I'm sure our compatriots would have gone out with it.
But nobody was asking him to lament.
He did.
But to assure Ghanaians.
And what else can a president do? Don't also forget that exactly a week today, the Minister for Finance, appointed by the president, being the president's representative in charge of our economy, addressed the nation, gave the details of everything that was being done to bring the economy back on track. We're expecting the president to come and repeat all that has been said. We all heard the news that the cabinet meetings are held all the time. But we heard the noise that was made about this particular cabinet meeting that was followed by the statement from the Bank of Ghana's committee and the minister responsible for finance. These are not details that we're oblivious to. Talking about water, at least, if I know nothing at all, I know His Excellency the President has provided a safe water system for the Yapi community and beyond. That's in Savannah region. If I don't know anything about water, at least I know plans are far advanced to give clean water to the people of Damango and beyond. They haven't had water. If you go into that part of the country, we are referred to as Inchumota. There's no water because we've had issues with water for a long time. All these issues are being addressed. Agenda 111. I try as much as possible, because of my background, not to go partisan on hospital projects. A standard regional hospital takes 18 months to complete. A standard district hospital takes 12 to 14 months to be completed.
Okay.
In the wake of COVID, we needed interventions. And the president alluded to one of them. How many of us today, we are buying a box of mask for how much? Between 10 cedis and 15 cedis. When I was even mentioning the last time, people were laughing at me that I've been ripped off. But at the height of COVID, we're buying it between 100 and 200 cedis for 50 pieces of mask. And the president alluded to that in that time, nobody was asking how much is this, how much is sanitizer. All we wanted was the consumables to stop this virus in its tracks. We got a lot of companies coming in and producing, like Gehok. Gehok now has a sanitizer line. All because COVID came. It taught us a lot of lessons. But the biggest lesson COVID taught us was for us to look more inward and focus on domestic resource mobilization and be self-reliant. And the president alluded to all that. if the president comes and says, Agenda 111, then he said 88 district hospitals. But this was a time that interventions were being reviewed. Then it came up that 6 new regions had been created, and every region is supposed to have a regional hospital. When was the best time to add it? Add it to this project. If your Western region didn't have a standard, I mean, they have a regional hospital, but it needed upgrading.
If needed to be upgraded.
We've been having a lot of conversations about mental health. So if this same project is going to have 3 mental health facilities in addition, I don't think it's wrong, because we also realize the kind of impact COVID had on people's mental health. We read the statistics on domestic violence and all that. So these interventions were being reviewed. When COVID first started, what was it? Let's wear masks, let's wear our hand. A few weeks down the line, we were told it was airborne. We've been reviewed. To date, we've gone through how many waves? 4 waves. I'm told even in China, some places are still under lockdown. So we are not out of the woods yet. But there are interventions. But, you know, it's good. We don't live on an island.
You mentioned a time period for which these interventions should come into fruition.
Yes, and he came.
Come back and change it again, and now tell us that it was overly ambitious.
Yes.
Did he not know that?
Better.
He cut sod.
It's better.
He cut sod.
Yes.
I mean, a lot of things happen.
Some have started, haven't they?
Well, he's telling us now that some 88.
I've seen the one for North Gonja district.
Can we trust that it will be completed before the end of his tenure? Which is what we're asking. Because if at every point you come and amend the information that you put out, 1 minute you're saying 1 year, the next minute you're saying 12 to 18 months. What was the
president's admonishment to us when he was being sworn in? Let's be citizens and not spectators.
Are we not being citizens if we're asking
questions? That's what I'm saying. But it goes beyond just sitting here. And I've given you an example. North Gonja District Hospital under Agenda 111 has started.
It has started.
Are you going to verify?
Where has it gotten to?
Where has it gotten to? As at the last time, I think they were raising the columns. I don't know as at today what it was.
Okay.
You can verify. You have the cameras. You have the platform. Verify. Let's all follow these interventions and make sure that as citizens, we ensure that the people mandated by the president to make sure that these things are done, do it.
Okay.
Because if nobody knows where they'll end up, touch wood, if the hospital starts operating in North Gonja district and you end up there, touch wood, and anything happens to you, at least you know that there's a facility to take care of you.
But what's the guarantee?
What's the guarantee?
Now he says 87 of them
and he said
started.
He's going to finish it.
What is the
before
guarantee?
He leaves office on the 7th of January.
What is the guarantee?
I've told
if you come back and you keep moving the date, how can we trust that you're going to be able to complete all these 87 by the end of your tenure? You're telling us that you're doing preparatory works for the rest of the 24 remaining
87
ones.
have started.
So are you telling us that all these 111 hospitals will be done before the end of his tenure? Can we believe you?
The president said it will be done, and I want to trust my president.
The president has told us it will be done in 12 to 18
and
months.
He has
it didn't
told
happen.
Us, you look, you make, you plan to do things. As you review them, you realize that it's better for him to come and tell us than we sit down and be in the dark and expecting projects within the time there. He said it was overly ambitious.
Did his advisor not know that his advisor was the Director General of the Ghana Health Service? Did he not know at that time that making such a promise was overly ambitious?
Let me tell you something. For a long time, the government of Ghana has been partnering with faith-based organizations to make up for the shortage of hospitals within the country. So you go to a place like Beku, it's a child facility. If you go to a place like Damango, it's a Catholic hospital, it's a child facility. But in the wake of COVID, we realized that we needed 88 more. Don't forget, periodically, new districts are created. And as at now, 6 new regions have come. That gap is still there, wasn't filled. In the wake of COVID, everything was on the line. This was the intervention that was proposed then. Along the line, you realize that when you're going to build a hospital, you need a site and all that. I mean, people have issues. It's not all sites that government facilities are built on that are necessarily state lands. You need to go into certain negotiations and all that. Some of these things are, but the good thing is 87 have started. Preparatory works for the remaining 24 have gone. Let's be citizens and not spectators. As I've told you, a standard district hospital takes 12 to 40 minutes.
Should we not have seen at least one of them by now? Should we not have seen at least one or two?
We haven't seen one, but we shouldn't let it delay further.
Then are you going to allow me?
We shouldn't delay it further.
Repeating herself all over.
No, but
I'll let you come. Don't worry.
We can go on and on about how it has delayed and all that. There are projects that have delayed. The Daboya Mankragu Road was started in the previous administration. Has it been completed?
That's right. The La General Hospital has been down for 2 years.
Yes.
It was actually working before it was pulled down.
2 good years. At least based on what government told us. You told us that it had become a death trap.
Exactly.
Which is why you pulled it down. And you had also told us that you were going to construct it within some number of months. We never saw it happen. In fact, January this year, we were there. We took our cameras there. There was not much happening, apart from some construction at the back. And then eventually, the people in the community told us that if government does not come and start the construction, they'll turn it into a football park. Later, we heard government say that now they're starting construction because there was some work that had to be done. They had to study the soil, blah, blah, blah. But 2 long years after, you prevented a community that was relying on this general hospital from even having access. Now, they were saying that it was costly to even go to Kolebu. We went to the La Polyclinic, and that was choked. A very small place where thousands of people had to rely on because the general hospital have been pulled down. Till date, we have not seen the completion of La General Hospital. And that's even just one. There are a number of abandoned hospitals. You can talk about Shama, Formina, and the like. They have not been completed. And yet we're being told that even these ones that have not been done, we're expecting that some one of them should be done in the next, 2 years? It's not possible, Lerato, is it?
What's not possible? La General Hospital, I haven't followed it much. So it will be
well, I've given you the details on that.
But you said it was pulled down because it had become a death trap. And I also want to believe that it wasn't just pulled down without people have access to healthcare within that the enclave they find themselves in. At least you've mentioned the La Polyclinic, Kolebu and all that. I haven't followed that issue.
I'm giving you those details.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. I haven't followed it much. And the details you've given me from where, with my background, I can't just take those details that you've given me and just make conclusions out of it.
Because I should know exactly better what is on the ground.
That's what I'm saying. What is on the ground? But I believe when we talk to the Ghana Health Service and the Ministry of Health, I'm sure certain interventions have been put in place. It's unfortunate that the community has to go beyond their catchment area to access health facility. But I don't think the Ghana Health Service and the Health Ministry, with what I know, will just demolish a hospital without proper interventions in there.
So yes,
but I will want to verify those details before I make anything. I've worked in the health sector before, and I can't just sit down and assume what the details you're giving me.
It was so for that one 2 years ago. Well, nobody started this month.
I'm not dismissing.
After they have been promised that it would have been done as
what I have seen with my eyes, I've given you examples. I've given you locations. I haven't paid too much attention to that. I'll check on it. But with what you're telling me and with what I know as someone who has been in the health sector before, I can't just make conclusions because health is a critical thing. We all know that. And I don't believe they'll just pull down a death trap and not put measures in place.
Okay, let me bring lawyer in to respond.
Well, Bella, you know, I mean, very, very quickly. And I think that sometimes maybe we actually allow one another to stretch the debate a bit too far. I thought Larotu was an expert in health and that she was conversant with all the issues that have to do with the health sector and trying to justify the unjustifiable. There is one in the Salaga district, Salaga South. You can go and check. That is almost about roofing level. It has been abandoned since government's changed. Please go and visit that hospital. The regional hospital in Wa, I'm sure you were here and you remember the protests that preceded the opening of that hospital, even though it was complete.
Take the University of Ghana Medical Hospital. I like there was a gentleman here, one of their communicators. He's relatively new. He's just started, I think. His name's Palgrave or something.
I'm not sure.
Yes, there was a gentleman who was here, and he admitted having gotten COVID, and how he was at the Ridge Hospital, and how he was impressed with the services that were offered him there. You remember the debates even when the face came to government. Take the University of Ghana Medical Hospital facility. We were told that there was nothing there, that it was an empty shell, and that it could never be used until the pandemic happened. You see, I think that in that sense, even the president has done better than Laratu. He has admitted that he has woefully failed, that in terms of execution, even regarding the pandemic and its reception, look, the pandemic was just a guise for our unscrupulous leaders to continue to fleece this country, that there was enormous corruption, even in the manner in which this whole COVID issue was handled. Like I said, charity, they say, begins at home. In most of the areas we mentioned about lack of water, there are natural reasons why water and accessing same there is a challenge. It requires a certain, look, I sank boreholes in Sarabasa, for example, near the hospital, you can cross-check, where the yield was not for human consumption. And so they had to be closed. And this is something that characterizes a lot of the areas. So it requires a certain concerted investigation. It requires some research, work that had actually started. You see, it is why I love when economists posit that maybe we need to start to stop this business of private party manifestos and focus on the long term, so that you know what each region requires at the time when you come into government. Because at the end of the day, when we speak to some of these issues and then we say that, oh, we should accept what the leader says, we must also hold our leaders to account. That plagiarized speech that Laratu so happily refers to about citizens and spectators, if we were going to be real citizens, I'm sure this government should be out of office by now. I think the good reason why they are even still there is because we have chosen a path of what? Democracy. Because if we are looking at the highfalutin noises, the insults, the rudeness, all the things that happened leading us to this state of the nation yesterday, I am actually woefully disappointed that this is all that our president has to say. And he himself admits his disappointment. So at least in that regard, let me credit him with something. Have you noticed that the 10,000 kilometers, Google it, is as if you are traveling from here to China? In that case, then every road in Ghana should at least be complete. I am not a roads expert, but the deputy or former deputy roads minister has put out an article, records from the roads ministry itself regarding the road network. He actually posits that out of the over 78,000 kilometers of road, 10,000 plus are for previous administrations. So let's deduct the roads ministers 4,600 plus. Definitely, they will not be left with 6,000 kilometers, as the president said. This is very simple arithmetic. And I think the article is there. You can interrogate it and probably educate all of us.
Okay.
And talking about the hospitals, you see, when previous administrations were focusing on increasing the numbers of beds, that Gais Hospital, you and I remember how it came in to support persons who were suffering from COVID. The UGMC, the same. Why should it be different? Why should we hold President Akufo-Addo to a different standard from what he held his predecessors to? You understand? I think that if we want to be sincere, if we want to have conversations devoid of this extreme partisanship, let's be honest. And I'm sure that President Akufo-Addo, in his own presentation, for the very first time, there was no criticism for his opponents. That we have run this country aground and the finances of this country into an abyss. All we receive now is justifications that don't exist. This e-levy is only bringing us 6.9 billion. Can that amount build all these hospitals that we speak of and pay the debts? Our debt to GDP today is 83%. Nowhere have we ever heard this before in the history of this country. How are we going to sponsor all these things? We thought the STEM had started. Yesterday, the SONA told us that they were actually now going to start the construction of 5 of those facilities. So you see, as I said, this was just like an amendment of their manifesto. We have failed. Let's come back and try and make amends. Let's meet them in the middle, especially because we also want to achieve the e-levy. But what will the e-levy amount to? It will be tantamount to zero. It will be the same lies, the same innuendos, the same aspersions, the same fake stories we are being told. In any case, when the finance minister finished speaking, you are in the media. What did you take away from it except a man who was desperately looking to pass the e-levy? Just tell me if there was anything. I mean, if I'm being insincere, let me know.
I mean, honestly, he had also told us
exactly.
that the tax exemptions bill will also be passed.
Excellent, but that's already,
which is something we've been asking
But that is already in the pipeline. And this has been there forever. That tax exemption bill is just like all. Why is that one still in the offing and the e-levy has been passed under a certificate of urgency? Ella, let's interrogate these issues.
Okay.
We are all very discerning people. Okay. And I think when we read these things, let's read the right meanings. You know, I believe strongly that when you have government communicators speak in this manner, they are largely insensitive to what pertains. The hospitals are fantastic initiatives. Many hospitals were constructed and their existence denied. Were they going to serve just NDC people? They were going to serve the good people of Ghana. They were built to taxpayers' money. Same will be done. Eventually, if these 88 or 111 come on stream, all of us will benefit from them. When the ambulances were introduced, you remember at your table, look at the way those stories were put out. The next thing we found out was that there was so much bureaucracy, lack of fuel, lack of resources even to fund the ambulance service, picking up people who had emergencies. You see, let's put our country on the right trajectory.
Can we at least give the president the benefits of the doubt that this time around, if he says that it will be done in 2 years?
Let me tell you that after the president has run our economy down, after telling us that the fundamentals were weak in the previous arrangements, and that he was coming to protect the public purse, and that they were going to come and make sure that the money that was in here will be found and utilized for the good people of Ghana. What has happened to that promise? I believe that if you want us to start a tabular spreadsheet of the president's promises, I'm sure we'll probably sit here the whole day and we might never finish. Okay. So to give him the benefit of the doubt, how many times do you give an adult the benefit of the doubt?
All right. Let Lerata come in.
I mean, if moving an economy from a growth of 3.4 to an average of 7 is running it down, then I don't know what
is that a growth you can
But you see,
something from 4 point
the hospital.
Is that a growth you are proud of?
My sister here made specific reference to the Salaga Hospital, and let me clear it. The Salaga Hospital was started in President Kufuor's time and left for the NDC for 8 years. It wasn't touched, and that's where that's my sister's municipality. Go and check. Just a week or two, the Kwembiura, the traditional, the paramount people that area visited the site.
How long have they been in office for? Thank you.
Yes.
Okay.
So if
add all of that.
No, but you abandoned it for 8 years. It's almost complete.
How about the ones that were completed and denied?
Was started and
how about those that were completed and denied?
SONA and Bamboy polyclinics have been done. So if such a person from where I come from in my little corner in Savannah has finished the Bipe Accident Center, has finished the Solar Polyclinic, has finished the Bamboy Polyclinic, they are all functioning now, and it's tackling and it's almost completing the Salaga Hospital that was left for 8 years.
I thought you said it was abandoned. When was it being completed again?
You know, not have even when was it made it priority.
Finish it even.
If you're saying that it started from former President Kufuor's time, that is from your part. That should have been one of the first things that you should have.
6 years later. 6 years later.
Irojet came with its own issues at a point. They needed to clear out. But the fundamental thing is, and the thing is, it was abandoned for 8 years. It was started in President Kufuor's time. It was abandoned. It's almost complete now. I think my sister needs to check.
It's almost 6 years.
The Pembiwa, I don't need to check. Bella, I want you to go and check. And when you check, come and...
The Pembiwa, I'm told, visited it about a week or two ago.
Check and come and tell us. Because I went there and I know where it was then and where it is now.
It was left.
Where is it and where was it then? Where is it?
Oh, it's in Salaga.
No, you're saying that you checked. And you know where they've gotten to.
It's in Salaga.
Where it was when we left.
There and go and check.
What percentage?
And look at the thing. I'll give you a percentage. Take your cameras there and check.
No, but you are telling us that it's almost done. If you could give us a percentage.
Go and check. And you see,
almost done. When are we going to?
I think Bella, like I said earlier, you allow when she has a point. I realize that she will not substantiate it. But she will never substantiate it.
Nobody has said the point. The end of our problem.
My time is up. So let her also speak. I'm giving you the
point. She's been repeating herself forever.
Are we going to make sure?
I have only a minute to go. Allow her to also make her final statement.
I say, use for what's supposed to be.
Okay, let me repeat for emphasis, irrespective of the noise, that if we are honest people, let's be honest in everything we do. My problem is with the insincerity of government and all of its aficionados and communicators. I said, for the record, many hospitals were denied, even their existence was denied. All of them have been proven. What is the guarantee that we should be taking any of these things on board? I have it on record that even the Wa Regional Hospital, there were protests that preceded its reopening and many other projects across the country until the pandemic happened. Let's put these conversations in proper perspective. You can scream, you can shout yourself hoarse. I have no doubt that if President Akufo-Addo really is serious about 88 hospitals, 111 hospitals, let charity begin at home. Finish the ones that are not complete. Finish them and tell us that, okay, when I arrived, 10 of these things had been started and they are incomplete. I'm going to finish them. Secondly, tell us that this is how the COVID resources that have now been totally dissipated and wasted on trips and travels. In fact, what I heard that I found even laughable was the fact that they said that people should not travel except their statutory or whatever travel. Did you remember people who went to Dubai on a government delegation? Go and cross-check how much those trips cost. Okay. Was that a statutory meeting? Was that on the calendar of anybody? Or was it pre-approved? Did they need all those people who went there with Excellency the President on that trip? Look, we use our left hands to steal the money, and then we use the right hands to come and seek justification. I said if the President was committed to health when the pandemic happened, all these hotels I mentioned, like the Salaga one in particular, it should have been completed. Okay. And the doors
after being abandoned for 8 years.
Well, for 20
just
years.
a quick one. So I was just trying to get
years,
some updates
or 40
on
years,
it.
or
This
50 years. That is irrespective.
2020.
The Fufuso road that we speak of was abandoned forever. Was it not completed in the days of John Mahama? Let's be honest.
That I do not know which project the former president.
Don't deny your areas because of politics. That's what you are doing.
Steadily progressing because I visited the place, and he says that one of the workers on site revealed on anonymity that it was about 85% done. That was in 2020. That was in 2020, and so we're expecting that by now we should have made some significant progress on it. Sometime in 2021, by the way, this was the 13th of September, there were residents who were also expressing worry over the delay in the completion of the Salaga Hospital. This was even the 13th of September 2021. We'll get the details as to what percentage they've reached at the moment, percentage of completion, and we'll let you know. But lawyer Joyce Bar Mukhtari is the special aide to former President John Dramani Mahama, former Deputy Minister of Transport, and Larato Musa Saka is a member of the NPP communications team. We have more coming up this morning on TV3Newday. Happy 45th birthday to Professor Ransford Jampo. Yesterday he was here with us, and he also was not too happy with the statements that the president had made, by the way. But he says from all of us, well, we are saying from all of us here at Media General to Professor Ransford Jampo. We'll be back with more. Keep watching. This is TV3 New Day.